The lecture hall on Orion Station was larger than any classroom the human had ever seen. The ceiling curved high above, transparent enough to show a slow river of stars drifting past. Rows of seats floated slightly above the floor, adjusting themselves for the bodies that occupied them. Some were tall and thin, some wide and low, some wrapped in soft light instead of solid form. Every species sat together, separated only by habit and comfort. The human sat quietly near the middle, hands resting on his knees. His name was Eli Mercer, though no one here used names often. To most of the station, he was simply the Human Exchange Observer. Humans were new to the Galactic Exchange Program. Interesting enough to invite, harmless enough not to fear. That was what the official briefing said. Eli tried not to stare. He had learned quickly that staring made some species uncomfortable. Others took it as a challenge. A few seemed offended by the very idea of being seen, so he focused on the glowing symbols drifting at the front of the hall, where the instructor was explaining interstellar trade flow using color, motion, and harmonic sound. Eli didn't fully understand it, but he tried. That was his role. Watch. Learn. Represent humanity by being calm, polite, and forgettable. That was when someone sat beside him. The seat adjusted slightly, responding to a new presence. Eli noticed a faint change in temperature, cooler, but not cold. He glanced sideways, careful and brief. She looked mostly humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs, upright posture. Her skin was a soft blue-gray, smooth, like stone worn by water. Dark eyes reflected light in a way that made it hard to tell where the pupil ended. Thin silver lines traced patterns along her neck and temples, shifting faintly as she breathed. She did not look at him. Eli returned his attention forward, heart beating a little faster than before. Sitting near aliens was normal here. Sitting this close was not unusual either. Still, something about her presence made the air feel heavier, like the moment before a storm. Then, she leaned slightly toward him. Her lips did not move much when she spoke, and her voice was barely louder than a breath. "You are different from all humans." Eli froze. For a moment, he wondered if he had misunderstood. Many species spoke through layered meanings, tones that translated poorly. But the station's translator implant hummed softly behind his ear, confident and clear. "Different from all humans." He kept his eyes forward. Training told him not to react suddenly, not to draw attention.
He swallowed. "I think you have the wrong person," he whispered back.
She tilted her head just a fraction. "No," she said. "I do not." The lecture continued as if nothing had happened. Lights shifted, symbols rotated. A nearby insect-like being clicked its mandibles in what Eli guessed was agreement with the instructor. Eli's thoughts raced. Was this a test? A joke? Some kind of alien misunderstanding? Humans were studied constantly. Maybe she had confused him with someone else. Maybe she was comparing him to a small sample size. Different how? Eli asked carefully. For the first time, she looked at him, her eyes focused with unsettling precision. Eli had the strange feeling of being examined, not just seen. Like she was looking past his skin, past his expressions, into the patterns beneath. "Your heart rate increased before I spoke," she said, "not when I sat down."
"You predicted disruption." Eli frowned slightly. "That doesn't mean much."
"You noticed things. You noticed probability," she replied.
Before stimulus. That made no sense to him. But something in her tone suggested she was serious. He shifted slightly in his seat, aware of his pulse now, aware of everything. "Who are you?" he asked. "Asha," she said, "of the Lyrian Continuum."
He had heard of the Lyrians, a quiet species.
Rarely involved in conflict, known for complex mathematics and long-term prediction models. Humans joked that Lyrians could calculate tomorrow better than living it.
"Why are you talking to me?" Eli asked.
"Because you are not supposed to be here," she said softly. His stomach tightened. I was selected, he said, same as the others.
Yes, by your people, she replied.
Not by the models. He almost laughed.
Models don't pick people. Asha's silver markings pulsed faintly. They pick outcomes, she said. People are variables. That word, variables, stuck in his mind. Before Eli could respond, a sudden ripple of unease spread through the hall. The instructor paused. Lights dimmed slightly as station systems recalibrated. It was minor, barely noticeable, but Eli felt it immediately, a low vibration under his feet. A delay too long to be coincidence.
Asha noticed his reaction.
You felt that, she said. Yeah, Eli whispered. Something's off. Around them, other species remained calm. A few looked confused, but no one moved. Protocol said not to interrupt instruction for non-critical fluctuations. Asha watched Eli instead of the instructor. Interesting, she murmured. The vibration passed. The lecture resumed. Most beings forgot the moment almost instantly. Eli did not. What do you mean I'm not supposed to be here? He asked quietly. Asha hesitated. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. My people run long-range outcome analysis, she said. We map decision trees across centuries. Since humanity joined the galactic network, humans appear often in projections. That sounds normal, Eli said.
No, she replied. What is normal is clarity.
Humans create noise. Eli frowned. Noise. Unresolvable divergence, she said. When humans are present in significant events, probabilities do not narrow. They widen.
That didn't sound like an insult, but it didn't sound good either. And me? Eli asked.
Asha studied him again. You are a concentration point, she said. Around you, projections collapse entirely. Eli let out a slow breath. You're saying I'm special. I am saying you are dangerous, she said calmly. That made his mouth go dry. I've never heard anyone, he said quickly. I know, Asha replied. That is not the kind of danger you are. The lecture ended shortly after. Beings began to rise, floating or walking or dissolving into light as they left. Eli stayed seated, unsure if he should stand or run or call someone. Asha stood smoothly. She paused, then looked down at him.
Walk with me, she said. It was not a request.
Eli hesitated, then stood. Training manuals did not cover this situation, but something inside him, curiosity, maybe instinct, told him that refusing would be worse. They moved into the corridor together. The hallways of Orion Station were wide and clean, filled with soft light and distant hums. Other beings passed by, paying them little attention.
Why tell me any of this? Eli asked as they walked. Because my people made a mistake, Asha said.
And I am trying to correct it. What mistake? We classified humanity as minor, she said. Adaptable but limited. Emotion-driven. Predictable in chaos.
And you were wrong,
Eli said. Yes, she replied simply. They stopped near a viewing window. Stars spilled across the darkness beyond. Eli felt very small. What happens now? He asked. Asha turned to face him fully. Now, she said, others will notice you. Eli felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. And humanity? He asked. Asha looked back at the stars.
That, she said, depends on what you do when the universe stops following the rules.
She walked away, disappearing into the flow of the station, leaving Eli alone with the stars and a terrible, thrilling thought forming in his mind. For the first time since leaving Earth, He felt like he truly belonged somewhere, and that scared him more than anything else. Eli did not sleep well that cycle. Orion Station simulated night by dimming the lights and slowing public movement, but his mind did not follow the schedule. He lay on the narrow rest platform in his assigned quarters, staring at the ceiling as faint lines of light moved like slow waves. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard Asha's voice again. "You are dangerous. Others will notice you," he told himself. She was exaggerating. Aliens did that sometimes, according to the orientation briefings. They spoke in dramatic absolutes, especially species that relied heavily on prediction and philosophy. Humans preferred rough estimates and second chances. Maybe this was just cultural difference. Still, his heart would not slow down. Eli sat up and rubbed his face. He checked the room display. No alerts, no summons, no messages from Earth. Everything looked normal, and somehow that made him more uneasy. The next cycle, he returned to the public areas. Exchange observers were encouraged to remain visible. Humans, the program said, should be seen as open and cooperative. Eli followed the curved corridors toward the central commons, where beings gathered to eat, trade information, or simply exist near one another. He felt eyes on him, not staring, not openly, just noticing. A tall, glass-skinned being paused its conversation when Eli passed. A cluster of small, floating organisms shifted position to give him more space than necessary.
A metallic-bodied courier scanned him twice before moving on.
Eli told himself he was imagining it. Then a soft chime sounded in his inner ear. "Observer Mercer," a calm, synthetic voice said.
"You are requested at Analysis Wing 3.
His stomach dropped. He stopped walking. Around him, the station continued as usual. No alarms. No urgency. Just a polite request. Analysis Wing was not a place humans were often invited. Eli changed direction. The Analysis Wing was quieter than the rest of the station. The air felt still, heavy with concentration. Walls here absorbed sound instead of reflecting it. Light adjusted constantly, responding to thought patterns and sensory needs. Eli entered a wide chamber with a circular table at its center. Several beings were already present, each different from the others. Some he recognized from briefings. Others he did not. Asha stood near the far side. She met his eyes and gave a small nod. Not friendly, not hostile.
Just acknowledgement. Eli took an empty position.
A tall figure with layered skin and glowing symbols embedded in its chest spoke first. Its voice came through the translator, smooth and neutral. "Human observer Eli Mercer," it said. "You were flagged in a predictive anomaly review." Eli swallowed.
"I didn't do anything wrong."
"We are aware," the figure replied. "That is the concern." A low ripple of sound passed through the group. Eli glanced at Asha, but her expression was unreadable. Another being spoke, this one shaped like a ring of light and shadow. "Your recent proximity to a Lyrian analyst caused a cascade deviation," it said. "We require clarification." Eli frowned.
"I just talked to her?" Asha stepped forward. "He did not cause the deviation," she said.
He revealed it. The chamber grew very quiet. The tall figure turned slightly toward her.
"Explain." Asha folded her hands behind her back. "Our models treat humans as reactive agents," she said. "Stimulus, response, delay. But this human does not wait for stimulus." Eli opened his mouth to protest, then closed it. He wasn't sure what to say. "He anticipates disruption," Asha continued. "Not consciously. His nervous system adjusts before external confirmation."
"That is impossible," another voice said.
"It is uncommon," Asha corrected, "but not impossible."
Humans evolved under constant instability. Their environment punished hesitation. Eli felt heat rise in his chest. She was talking about his species like a case study, but there was no mockery in her tone, only concern. The ring-shaped being pulsed. If this trait were widespread, it would have appeared earlier. It has, Asha said. You ignored it because it did not fit your categories. The tall figure turned back to Eli. Describe your actions during the lecture disruption, it said. Eli hesitated, then spoke slowly. I felt something was off, he said. The room went quiet in a way that didn't match the pattern. I didn't know why. I just
Noticed. And what would you have done if the disruption had continued? The figure asked.
Eli thought about it. I don't know, he said honestly.
probably tried something. Anything that might help. The chamber reacted to that. Not with sound, but with attention. Several beings focused on him fully now.
You act without full data, the ring being said.
Yes, Eli replied. Sometimes you have to. That increases failure risk, another voice said. It also increases survival, Eli said before he could stop himself. Silence followed. Asha watched him closely. For the first time, there was something like approval in her eyes. The tall figure raised a limb. This discussion is premature, it said. However, the anomaly cannot be ignored. Human observer, Mercer, will undergo non-invasive assessment. Eli's heart jumped. Assessment? Observation? Asha said quickly. No harm. He nodded, trusting her more than the others, though he wasn't sure why. The assessment chamber was smaller, filled with soft light and faint harmonic tones. Eli stood on a marked circle while sensors adjusted around him. He felt mild tingling, nothing painful. Remain calm, the system voice said. Eli almost laughed. Calm felt like the wrong word. Images appeared in the air around him. Patterns, shapes, hypothetical situations. A voice asked simple questions. If the door fails, what do you do? If the path collapses, what is your next move? If communication stops, how do you proceed? Eli answered instinctively. Check alternatives. Use what's left. Assume no one is coming and act. The sensors hummed faster. The images changed, more complex now. Conflicting information. Incomplete maps. Unclear goals. Eli felt sweat form at his temples, but he kept going. He didn't wait for perfect understanding. He chose, adjusted, chose again. Finally, the lights dimmed. The assessment ended. When Eli returned to the chamber, the mood had changed. Data streams floated in the air, shifting and branching. Some of them simply stopped. Lines cut short, unable to continue. Asha looked troubled. This should not happen, the tall figure said. What? Eli asked. Your responses collapsed multiple predictive paths, Asha said.
Not toward failure, toward uncertainty. That sounds bad, Eli said.
For us, she replied quietly. Yes. The ring being pulsed sharply. If humans like this exist in significant numbers, our long-term stability models are invalid. Eli crossed his arms. We're not trying to break anything. That is irrelevant, another voice said.
Effect matters more than intent. Asha turned to Eli. I told you others would notice, she said.
He met her gaze.
So what now? The tall figure answered.
Now, it said, we decide whether humanity is a manageable variable or a disruptive force. Eli felt something settle inside him then. Fear, yes, but also clarity. You've been watching us from a distance, he said. Judging us without knowing us. That is efficient, the figure replied. Maybe, Eli said.
But it's not accurate. Asha's markings glowed faintly. There is more, she said.
Humanity does not merely react to chaos. It uses it. The chamber stilled. Eli looked at her, surprised. Under pressure, she continued, humans form bonds faster, improvise structures, and redefine goals. They do not seek optimal outcomes. They seek survivable ones.
That is a weakness, a voice said. That is why you are still here, Asha replied calmly.
No one argued. The meeting ended without a final decision. Eli was dismissed, escorted back into the station's public flow as if nothing had happened. But everything had changed. As he walked, messages flickered at the edge of his awareness. Observational requests, passive scans, attention layered upon attention. He was no longer invisible. Later, standing by a viewport, Eli found Asha beside him again.
You should be careful, she said.
I don't know how, he replied. She considered that. Neither do we, she said. They stood in silence, watching stars slide past.
Somewhere deep in the station, systems adjusted.
Models recalculated. Old assumptions weakened. And for the first time, the galaxy began to wonder if humanity was not a small voice in the cosmic conversation, but a question with no safe answer. The first sign that something was wrong came as silence. Orion Station was never truly quiet. Even during rest cycles, there was always a background hum. Power systems, life support, distant movement. It was a sound Eli had learned to ignore. That sound stopped. Eli froze mid-step in the corridor outside the observation deck. His body reacted before his thoughts did. His shoulders tensed, his breathing slowed. A strange pressure settled in his chest, the same feeling he had sensed during the lecture hall disruption, only stronger. Something had failed. Around him, lights dimmed slightly, then steadied. No alarms sounded. No warnings appeared. The station's systems were designed to avoid panic whenever possible. Eli didn't like that. He turned slowly, scanning the corridor. A few other beings stood still as well, though most continued moving, trusting that the station knew what it was doing. A moment later, the hum returned. But wrong. Uneven. As if parts of the station were breathing out of sync. Eli's implant chimed. "Attention," the system voice said calmly.
Minor power redistribution in progress. Please remain in designated areas.
Minor, Eli thought.
That word again?
He felt the urge to move. Not to run, not to hide, but to do something. He didn't know what yet. Just that standing still felt dangerous. He headed toward the nearest junction, where emergency panels were usually located. Behind him, hurried footsteps approached. "Ellie," Asha said. He turned. She looked different, more alert, her markings glowing brighter than usual.
You feel it, she said. It was not a question.
Yes, Ellie replied. This isn't minor. Her eyes flicked to the ceiling, as if she could see through layers of metal and machinery. A probability cascade has begun, she said. A small failure intersected with multiple low-risk systems.
That sounds bad,
Eli said. It should not be possible, she replied. They reached the junction. One of the wall panels flickered, its interface lagging. Eli pressed his palm against it. The system hesitated, then responded. Life support stable, he read aloud. Structural integrity stable. Internal gravity fluctuating.
Asha stiffened.
Where?
She asked. Eli scanned the display.
Habitation Ring C and Transit Shaft 7.
That shaft connects to the outer arrays, Asha said. If gravity destabilizes there, a deep vibration rolled through the station, cutting her off. This time, alarms sounded. Not loud, not panicked, just a low, steady tone that sent a chill through Eli's spine. The corridor lights shifted to a muted amber.
Attention,
the system voice said again, more tightly now.
Unscheduled event detected. Please remain calm.
Eli snorted, too late. Other beings began to react. Some froze completely, waiting for instructions. Others moved in controlled patterns, following protocols that had been practiced for centuries. Eli didn't wait.
Where's the control access for Shaft 7?
he asked. Asha looked at him sharply. You are not authorized. I know, he said, but I can help. She hesitated for only a moment. Then she pointed. They moved quickly. As they ran, the vibration increased, followed by a brief moment of weightlessness. Eli stumbled, caught himself, then adjusted his movement instinctively, pushing off walls and rails. Asha watched him with open surprise. You adapt faster each time, she said. I don't think about it, Eli replied. I just go. They reached the shaft control node. The access panel was already open, surrounded by 2 station engineers, both non-human, both clearly overwhelmed. Gravity feedback loop is unstable, one said rapidly. We are awaiting central authorization.
How long? Eli asked. 30 cycles, the other replied.
Eli looked at the shaking floor. You don't have 30 cycles, he said.
That decision is not yours,
the engineer snapped. Another tremor hit, stronger than before. A distant clang echoed through the station as something heavy shifted where it should not have. Eli stepped forward. If gravity in the shaft collapses, the outer arrays tear loose, he said. That damages power routing. That spreads the failure. The engineer stared at him. That scenario is theoretical, one said. Not anymore, Eli replied. Asha stepped in beside him. He is correct, she said.
The models are no longer converging.
The engineers hesitated, caught between protocol and reality. Eli didn't wait for permission. He reached into the open panel and began rerouting manually, bypassing automated balancing systems.
What are you doing? One engineer demanded.
Breaking the loop, Eli said. You're trying to correct gravity perfectly.
Stop trying to be perfect. Asha understood instantly.
You are forcing asymmetry, she said. Yes, Eli replied.
Let it be uneven. Just keep it stable enough. The panel sparked lightly as systems protested. Warning indicators flared. Human, the system voice said, losing some of its calm. Unauthorized actions detected. Yeah, Eli muttered. I know. He finished the reroute and slammed the panel closed. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the vibration lessened. Gravity returned. Not smooth, not elegant, but solid. The station groaned like a living thing catching its breath. The engineers stared. That should not have worked, one said. But it did, Eli replied. Across the station, alerts shifted from red to amber. Systems stabilized enough to prevent immediate collapse. But the crisis wasn't over. Asha's implant chimed. Her expression darkened. Multiple secondary failures, she said. Your action prevented the worst outcome. But now the station is in an uncharted state. Eli wiped sweat from his forehead. Uncharted is better than destroyed, he said. She looked at him. Something like awe mixed with fear. This is why you are dangerous, she said. They moved again, heading toward the central operations hub. This time, no one tried to stop them. Word was spreading fast. Inside the hub, beings crowded around floating displays, data streaming faster than most could process. Predictive models flickered, recalculating endlessly without settling. A tall authority figure turned as Eli and Asha entered. You, it said. Human. Eli braced himself. Your unauthorized action altered the station's outcome, the figure said. Explain. Eli took a breath. Your systems try to avoid failure by controlling everything, he said. But when things go wrong, that control becomes the problem. That is illogical, the figure replied. It's human logic, Eli said. We plan for things to break. A murmur spread through the room.
The station is stable now, Asha said. but only because he acted before certainty was reached. The figure studied the displays. That action invalidated 12 long-term forecasts, it said.
Good, Eli replied. They were wrong anyway. Silence fell. Another tremor shook the station, smaller this time.
Manageable! The figure finally spoke again.
The crisis continues, it said. We require solutions. Eli looked at the chaos of data, at the beings frozen by indecision, waiting for models that would never resolve.
Then stop waiting, he said. Let people act.
Small actions. Local decisions. Not one perfect plan.
That increases unpredictability, the figure said. Eli met its gaze. So do humans, he said.
And you're still here.
Slowly, reluctantly, the authority figure issued new orders. Decentralized control. Local response teams. Improvised solutions. The station did not return to its old balance. But it survived. Hours later, Eli stood again by the viewport, exhaustion heavy in his bones. Orion Station drifted peacefully now, stars shining as if nothing had happened. Asha joined him. The models will remember this, she said. Will they? Eli asked. They will try, she replied.
But they no longer trust themselves, Eli exhaled slowly. What does that mean for humanity?
Asha looked at him, her expression serious. It means, she said, the galaxy can no longer afford to misunderstand you. Somewhere deep within the station, systems recorded the event for the first time in recorded history. A crisis involving humans ended not with clean data, but with survival through chaos. And that scared the galaxy more than failure ever had, and the station did not return to normal. It returned to something new. In the cycles after the crisis, Orion Station functioned, but the old rhythm was gone. Systems still worked, corridors still filled with movement, but there was hesitation everywhere. Beings paused longer before acting. Conversations stopped when Eli passed. Even the lights seemed slower to adjust around him, as if the station itself was uncertain. Eli noticed all of it. He tried to stay out of the way, but that had become impossible. Requests came constantly. Not orders, not commands. Questions. Engineers wanted his opinion. Analysts wanted him to explain his thinking. Authority figures wanted to understand how a human could act without full data and still succeed.
Eli gave the same answer every time. I didn't know it would work, he said.
I just knew waiting wouldn't. For many species, that answer was deeply uncomfortable. Asha accompanied him often now, not officially assigned, but always nearby. She watched how others reacted to him, how their body language shifted, how their prediction systems adjusted whenever he entered a room. You are changing behavior patterns, she told him once as they walked through a transit ring. I'm just walking, Eli replied. Yes, she said. That is enough. The council session was announced without warning. Eli was summoned to a chamber far deeper than the previous analysis room. This one was older, built before humanity had even known the station existed. The walls were dark, etched with symbols that shifted slowly, representing agreements older than some civilizations.
Asha stopped at the entrance.
You may not speak freely inside, she warned him. Choose your words carefully.
I usually do.
That is not reassuring, she said. Inside, the chamber was full. Representatives from many species were present, some physically, others through projections or shared sensory fields. The air felt thick with attention. Eli stood alone at the center. A voice echoed, layered and calm. Human observer, Eli Mercer, it said. Your actions altered the outcome of a station-level crisis. Eli said nothing.
Your actions violated established protocols, the voice continued, and yet prevented catastrophic failure. Still nothing.
Explain, the voice said. Eli took a breath.
You built your systems to avoid mistakes, he said. We build ours, knowing mistakes will happen.
A ripple of reaction moved through the chamber. That is inefficient, one representative said. Sometimes, Eli replied, but it's honest. A projection shifted, showing models of the recent crisis. Clean lines ended abruptly, branching into chaos where Eli had intervened. You destabilized probability, another voice said. I stabilized reality, Eli said quietly. Asha watched from the side, her markings dim and steady. She was not intervening. This was his moment.
You rely on certainty, Eli continued.
But certainty doesn't exist when things break. You can either freeze waiting for perfect answers, or act with imperfect ones.
Your species embraces risk, a representative said.
Eli nodded. We don't like it, but we live with it. Silence followed, long and heavy. Then a new voice spoke. Older, slower, human, it said. Did you consider the long-term consequences of your actions? Eli thought carefully. No, he said. I considered the people who would be lost if I didn't act. That answer changed the room. Not agreement. Not approval. Something deeper. Reevaluation. The council did not punish him. That alone shocked many. Instead, they issued a new classification. Humanity was no longer listed as a minor participant species. It was now labeled a strategic uncertainty presence. Eli didn't understand all the implications, but Asha did. It means, she told him later, you are no longer ignored. That sounds bad, Eli said. It is, she replied, and also necessary. After the council session, Eli was no longer free to wander the station alone. He was assigned liaisons, observers. Not guards. No one wanted to imply hostility, but the effect was the same. Everywhere he went, he was watched. Some species were curious. Others were cautious. A few were openly afraid. One small delegation approached him in the commons. We wish to understand humans, their speaker said. Eli smiled weakly. So do we. They asked him about Earth, about wars and disasters and recoveries, about how humans rebuilt after failure. Eli answered honestly. We argue, he said. We make mistakes. We hurt ourselves. Sometimes. But we don't stop. Why? The speaker asked. Eli shrugged. Because stopping means giving up. That answer spread, not through official channels, but through quiet conversations, personal exchanges, shared moments. Some species began to test new approaches, small changes, less reliance on prediction, more on adaptation. Not because the council ordered it, but because they had seen it work. Others resisted. A closed session was called among the highest authorities. Asha was present. Eli was not. When she returned, her expression was troubled. There is disagreement, she said.
Some believe humans should be limited, contained.
Eli's jaw tightened. Contained how?
Restricted access, reduced integration, controlled exposure.
Eli exhaled slowly, because we make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, Asha said.
And because they fear what they cannot model.
Eli leaned against the viewport railing, staring at the stars. We're not trying to replace anyone, he said.
I know, Asha replied. That is what makes it worse.
Another alert sounded through the station. Not a crisis this time. A request. A distant outpost had gone silent. Communication failure. Predictive models conflicted. No clear course of action. The council hesitated. Then someone suggested something unthinkable. A few cycles ago.
Send the human, a voice said.
Eli was informed shortly after.
You want me to go?
He asked.
Yes,
the authority figure replied, not alone, but as part of the response. Eli looked at Asha. She nodded slowly. This is how it begins, she said. The mission was small. A transport vessel, mixed crew. No heavy weapons. No perfect plan. Eli sat strapped in, feeling the familiar hum of engines beneath his feet. Humans had built ships long before they had certainty, and the feeling grounded him. As the vessel entered jump space, Asha spoke softly. You should be afraid, she said.
I am, Eli replied, but I'm also ready.
Do you know why I spoke to you that first day? She asked. Eli shook his head. Because when I examined humanity, she said, I expected chaos. What I found was resilience. The vessel emerged near the silent outpost. No signals, no movement. Eli leaned forward, eyes sharp. Let's see what broke, he said. Behind him, systems adjusted, not to prediction, but to possibility. Far away, across the galaxy, analysts watched the data streams. And for the first time, instead of asking how to control humanity, they asked a more dangerous question. What if the future needed them? The outpost drifted in silence. It was a small structure compared to Orion Station, built at the edge of a resource corridor, where trade ships passed only a few times each cycle. Its lights were dim. No signals answered the transport's calls. No emergency beacon pulsed. It looked peaceful in the wrong way, like something holding its breath. Eli stared at it through the forward viewport. Still feels wrong, he said. Asha stood beside him, hands clasped behind her back. Her markings glowed faintly, unsettled. All projections fail here, she said. There should be signs.
Debris, radiation. Something, or someone shut everything down on purpose, Eli replied.
The transport docked manually. Automated systems refused to link, so the crew guided the vessel in by sight and instinct. It wasn't clean. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. Inside the outpost, the air was thin but breathable. Emergency lights glowed low along the walls. No bodies. No damage, just emptiness.
They left in a hurry, one crew member said. Or they're hiding, another replied.
Eli knelt near a control panel, brushing dust from its surface. No, he said. They didn't leave. They adapted.
Asha looked at him sharply. Explain! Life support is still running, Eli said. Bare minimum. They stripped everything else to keep it going.
Why? She asked. Eli stood slowly. Because something scared them, he said. Something they couldn't fight or predict. As if summoned by his words, a low tremor passed through the outpost. Not physical. Something deeper. Systems flickered. The emergency lights dimmed further. The crew tensed.
That's it, Eli said. That's what broke the models. A signal flickered briefly on Eli's display.
Fragmented. Weak. Human eyes caught what machines struggled to process.
There, he said.
Pattern repetition. It's hiding inside the station's systems. Asha's eyes widened. A non-sentient adaptive anomaly, she whispered. A self-correcting fault. A bug that learned, Eli said simply. The galaxy's greatest fear was not enemies. It was unknown failure. Systems that could not be reasoned with. Problems that changed when observed. This thing feeds on optimization, Eli said. Every time you try to fix it perfectly, it grows stronger. Silence filled the corridor as understanding spread. That is why the outpost shut down, Asha said.
They stopped optimizing. Another tremor hit, stronger this time. Panels cracked.
Gravity wavered. We don't have time, a crew member said. Eli nodded. Good, he said. Then we won't overthink it. He moved quickly, issuing instructions that felt strange to the others. Cut non-essential power. Randomize response timing. Stop synchronizing systems.
That will reduce efficiency, someone protested.
Yes, Eli said.
That's the point. Asha watched closely as the crew followed his lead. Human logic spread through the outpost like a controlled mess. Systems no longer worked together perfectly. They worked enough. The anomaly reacted. It tried to adjust, to correct. But there was nothing consistent to correct against. Its pattern broke. With a final shudder, the tremors stopped. Silence returned, but this time, it felt right. Moments later, hidden compartments opened throughout the outpost. Beings emerged cautiously, eyes wide with disbelief. They were alive. The outpost had survived by becoming inefficient, by embracing imbalance, by doing what humans had always done best. Later, as rescue ships arrived, the truth spread quickly through the network. Data analysts watched in stunned silence as reports confirmed the impossible. A human had solved a problem that no model could touch, not by understanding it completely, but by refusing to play its game. Back on Orion Station, the council reconvened. This time, Eli was not summoned as an observer. He was invited as a voice. The chamber felt different now. Less judgment, more attention. The same layered voice spoke. The anomaly has been neutralized, it said, through human-led response. Eli stood calmly. You didn't neutralize it, he corrected.
You outlasted it. A murmur rippled through the chamber.
Our classifications are insufficient, the voice continued. Humanity does not fit existing models.
That's okay, Eli said.
We don't fit our own models either.
Asha stood beside him, no longer silent. Humanity is not chaos, she said. It is adaptation given form. The council debated long after that, but the decision, when it came, was clear. Humanity would not be controlled. It would be consulted. Human representatives were invited into crisis planning, exploration, and unknown risk response, not because they were stronger or smarter, but because they could move when certainty failed. The new classification replaced the old one. Humanity was now listed as a resilience catalyst species. Eli didn't celebrate. He stood once more by the viewport, watching stars drift past, thinking of Earth, of storms and rebuilds, of people who survived not because they were perfect, but because they refused to quit. Asha joined him. You changed the future, she said.
Eli shook his head. No, he replied.
We just showed you how we survive. She considered that. A galaxy is afraid, she admitted. Eli smiled faintly. So were we, he said. Still are. She looked at him, really looked at him. And yet, she said, you move forward. Ellie's smile grew. We always do. Far across the stars, new models formed. Not rigid, not final. Flexible, messy, alive. The universe had learned something important. Humanity was not the strongest voice in the galaxy. But when everything went wrong, they were the ones who stood up and said, okay, let's fix what we can and survive the rest. And that was more powerful than certainty ever could be.